Okay, so if you want to learn how your menstrual cycle is really your secret superpower, stay tuned. Okay, so let me just go ahead, start off by saying that I want to give a shout out to Dr. Mindy Pelz. Hope I'm saying her name correctly. So I've been studying her work for over 8 months now. Basically, I started studying about fasting and things like that back in August 2023. And she just basically like blew my noodles away because as a woman, as a young lady, right, I had never had anyone break down the intricacies of my hormones and my menstrual cycle the way this lady did. Like, I know that a lot of you all are here because of weight loss and fasting and all of that, and I'm totally about to get into that, but I just have to give a little bit of a rant just for like just a few seconds. Like, just give me a few seconds, okay? Because we don't talk about this type of stuff because it's like a little bit of a taboo topic. I think that if we as women talk more about our menstrual cycles, what it's going to do is it emphasizes the differences between men and women. And I think whether you're a feminist or you're just an empowered woman, like you never want to be held down by something that you view as like an ailment or that you view as like a negative thing or a handicap. And I think a lot of times your menstrual cycle is viewed as a handicap. I think sometimes your womanness can be viewed as a handicap. You know, your the fact that you bleed, the fact that you have cramps, that you may have a mood swing. Like, Lord forbid you have a mood swing. Like, oh my God.
Never say you have mood swings. Like, please.
We act like it's not real, especially if you're in corporate America or if you're in an industry that is male dominated. Like, you don't want to make yourself seem like you have something that your male counterparts don't have. But the truth is, you're a Ferrari, you're a Lamborghini, you know, you're a McLaren, and somebody got to read. You have to read the instructions before dealing with you. I'm not saying that men are like Toyotas or Hondas or like basic. I'm not saying that. I didn't say that. You said that. But what I am saying is that we require a little bit more understanding. There's so much more going on inside of our bodies than males. You know what I mean? We can't just like brush over that. And it's like, yep, you bleed and it sucks. And get over it, buttercup. You know what I'm saying? She literally breaks it down, all the different things we're going through in our menstrual cycle and how we should honor our menstrual cycle. That when we're dealing with different things, whether it's a mental health issue or craving or a bodily, like you're losing weight or you can't lose weight or anything going on in our body, we should be using our menstrual cycle and we should understand our menstrual cycle enough that we can use it as a tool to help us to live the best, most fulfilling lives we possibly can. So I'm super excited about it. I hope you're super excited about it. And we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to basically break down the menstrual cycle, obviously in 28 days. I'm going to break it up into 4 different sections. And for each of the different sections of the menstrual cycle, I'm going to talk about hormones that are present. We're going to talk about, whether or not you should be fasting during this time. We're going to talk about activities and lastly, your mindset during these parts of your cycle. So we're going to get right into it. First phase of your cycle is the menstrual phase. Okay. And instead of the menstrual phase, Dr. Mindy talks about this part of your cycle and she calls it a power phase. So I didn't even know this, which is really embarrassing, that the day 1 of your cycle is actually the first day that you bleed. Did anybody else not know that? Dr. Mindy, what she says is from day 1 to day 10, basically all of your hormones are really low. And the hormone that you really want to shine, what she talks about in her book, is your estrogen. Estrogen always thrives in a low glucose environment. So one thing I want to read to you from this book that I think is so powerful. So it says the first power phase, days 1 through 10, your body is focused on producing estrogen. You need estrogen to signal to your ovaries to release an egg. Without estrogen, ovulation cannot occur. At the beginning of this phase, your body will slowly make estrogen. And as you get closer to day 10 of your cycle, your body makes a larger amount of estrogen. If you are on a high carbohydrate diet, eating 6 meals a day, you may inadvertently be keeping your insulin too high for estrogen's liking. So even though when you first start your cycle, you do not feel like doing anything that's going to be strenuous at all, this is really the time where you can start upping some fasts and doing some really longer fasts. So I know for me personally, I typically 24-hour fast sprinkled in between days 1 and 10. I do my 20-hour fast, my 17, 18-hour fast during this time. And it works really well for me. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but during this time of the month, you normally don't really crave a lot of heavy stuff. Like that's what I've learned about my body. So the foods that you're really going to be focused on in this time is what she calls ketobiotic, and everyone pretty much knows that keto is mostly protein and low carb and some fats, and she loops in biotic because she always wants to keep in mind like gut health, so like prebiotics and probiotics and things like that. This is a great time for you to fast. This is a great time to keep your glucose low. This is a great time to help that estrogen get up. You're eating pretty light. In terms of activities, you can up your activities. So when it comes to the power phase, like your body is trying to get the estrogen up. It can handle a little bit of stress, and things like that. The second part of your fast is what she calls the manifestation phase. So this is days from 11 to 15. Now this is literally your ovulation cycle. And the reason why she calls it manifestation, one of the reasons I think it's so beautiful is because this is literally the time where you can start to produce a baby inside of your body. So if you have the energy and the love inside of you to create a baby, what other things can you create during this beautiful manifestation phase? So Dr. Mindy, she talks about maybe this is a time where you can start a business. Maybe this is a time where you start getting some really great ideas. Another thing about the manifestation phase in terms of your hormones, so your estrogen is really high because you just worked so hard in the beginning part of your cycle to get that estrogen high. You actually get a little bit of testosterone because your libido is higher because you want to be doing some activities during that time so that you can have a baby. So that testosterone comes up, and testosterone is normally associated with like heavy lifting and like activity and like that kind of like that thing. When you think of testosterone, you think male hormone because that's what it is. So you have this little spike in testosterone during your ovulation time. So new ideas, fresh ideas, new businesses. It's just a time where you can really start to manifest some really great things. And then also this is a time when it comes to fasting, you don't really want to be fasting. This is when you want to eat a little bit heavier. You want to start to have a little bit more of your like healthy carbs. You don't really want to fast during this time. You want to let your body do what it needs to do to manifest what's inside of you and manifesting what's outside of you as well. The third phase is another power phase. It's another little sliver of your cycle between days 16 and days 19, where you're going to be able to really go hard with your fasting. This is where you can get another really deep fast in there. You can go ahead and cut down on your carbs. This is when you can start to like get back in the gym and you're working hard, you're getting your cardio in and things like that, but you're not feeling those heavy lethargic feelings like you do right before your cycle. Second power phase, days 16 to 19, has another large dip in your hormonal production. At this point in your cycle, you are coming off of the hormonal surges that happen in the manifestation phase. You might feel a downward shift in your libido and less mental clarity, motivation, and energy. Because your hormone levels are at a lower point, this small 4-day window is another great opportunity to go on some of the fasts that are longer than 17 hours to stimulate autophagy, repair your gut, burn more fat, and improve dopamine pathways, or reset your immune system. So, baby, those two power phases are where you really want to go hard in your fasting. That's where you really want to cut down on your carbs, and you want to literally use it as a power phase, like exactly like what it's called. During your nurture phase, right? Between days 20 and 28, this is what she calls your nurture phase. Now, honestly, this is probably one of the most delicate parts of your entire cycle because this is going to be the part of your cycle that determines how your next menstrual cycle goes. A lot of times Dr. Minnie talks about if you have a really tough menstrual cycle, if you bleed a whole lot, or if you like have horrible cramps in your menstrual cycle, what it normally means is that you didn't really honor the nurture portion of your cycle. The nurture portion of your cycle, your hormones are low. So one thing Dr. Minnie talks about during this phase, the nurture phase, she says there are 3 ways you can nurture yourself in this phase. The first is to skip fasting. So one thing that Dr. Minnie is super big on is to make sure she communicates, do not fast a week before your cycle. If you want a crappy menstrual cycle, if you want a painful menstrual cycle, go ahead and fast during the week before your menstrual cycle. It's going to be a disaster. And I've done it my very self. I had like weird aches in my hands. Like I couldn't sleep at night. Like I was literally sure. I don't know if I had like it literally felt like early onset arthritis or something like that. It was like some weird things were happening in my body because I was trying to continue to fast even through that nurture phase of my cycle. So she says the reason for this is that much like exercise, fasting can create small spikes of cortisol. So literally during your nurture phase, you're supposed to literally be doing just that. Like this time is for you. This is not the time for you to try to go and put on a big on event for somebody. During this time, the progesterone that is fighting to increase is progesterone. And one thing the Dr. Mindy says is that progesterone and estrogen are like twins, but they're like opposites. Estrogen loves for there to be like virtually no glucose, for it to be very low, for you to keep it very light, for you to keep it like, you can be active, you can be like that fun, sexy, active, skinny girl. Okay? Progesterone is like, sit down. Give me a bag of potato chips, healthy potato chips, but sit down, rub my feet, rub my back, and I need some cucumbers for my eyeballs because I'm not going to eat them cucumbers. I need them for my eyes because I'm going to go ahead and give me take a nap. Okay? So best food options during this nurture phase are back to your hormone feasting foods. So we're talking about potatoes, beans, and squashes. Comfort foods. We are so brilliantly designed that our bodies are more insulin resistant during our nurture phase. This is for a good hormonal reason. Your body actually needs more glucose to make progesterone. Trying to get into ketosis during this time will not only be challenging for you, but also destructive to progesterone. And like I said, I experienced that. It just doesn't, like, I felt ill. Like, I genuinely felt ill, and I actually tried it. I knew that I wasn't supposed to do it because I had been studying it long enough to know that I wasn't supposed to do it, but I just wanted to try it. Like, I just said, I'm gonna do an experiment and I'm just gonna try it. And I wrote down, like, I wonder if I can find it in my notebook. Let's see if I can find it, because I don't play. I have all my stuff. Power phase, like, I don't really play. Okay, I got my longer cycles, my longer fasting cycles during my power phase. I ain't playing with y'all. Okay, play if you want to, baby, but I ain't. One thing about me, I ain't playing. So I have it right here. So this is day 21. So hungry. This is back in February. So hungry, not doing so well. Hand aches. So hungry, right? Like, again, so hungry. Like, I was so hungry. I remember being starving, bro. I was like, bro, this ain't normal. The things that Dr. Mindy talks about you doing are going to be things that you're going to want to naturally do anyways. That week before your cycle, you're not going to want to fast. You're going to want to eat more carbs. That's why when you crave sugar, people try to, like, the carbs and the breads and the chocolate, people try to, like, shame you for that. But that's what my body actually needs. Like, it's absolutely incredible and amazing that my brilliant body is telling me exactly what it needs. But society is making me deny what I intuitively feel like I need and what my body needs. I'm denying that because I'm getting shamed for wanting to sit at home and eat chocolate and eat potatoes the week before my cycle. But that's actually, in fact, what that progesterone in my body actually needs to function. One thing I think about a lot is a lot of women who, like, struggle with anorexia stuff, they won't have a cycle. And it's because they're not honoring the glucose needs. I'm sure there's a lot of other reasons, but they're not honoring the glucose needs of progesterone so that their cycle can come on. If you mess up that week, like, anything can happen because your cycle needs that progesterone for the whole cycle to start. So I know that was a lot of information, and this is just the first of these videos, and I'm excited to talk to you all more about it. But I just hope that you go out and get this book, Fast Like a Girl, or that you start listening to these videos. And if not, I'm going to be talking more about it, and I'm just excited. But if you want to lose that weight, like, you've got to do it in a way that is healthy for your body, and you've got to do it in a way that's going to honor your body, because a lot of times people have bad experiences when it comes to fasting. Like, they lose hair, they start gaining weight back. They start with like, I've heard people having the hand aches and things like body aches is because they're not honoring their body while fasting. So you have to do both. But anyway, thank you all so much. I'm so excited. I'll see you all next time. Bye.